All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to this month's Distributors Labs speaker series. Great seeing everyone this evening. For those of you who have not attended in past, Distributors Labs speaker series is a monthly event where founders and leaders can share insight on how they develop their product and can share insight on how their products and processes can help you understand your own and overcome challenges. For more information, you can find us on Facebook or online at centralmaine.org and distributors.org under our speaker series tab. I'd like to thank our sponsors for this afternoon's conversation. This free event is presented by Distributors Labs and is sponsored by CBI, Valley Beverage, Thomas College's Harold Alpine Institute for Business Innovation, and Brunswick Working and Innovation Space. In addition, this conversation is being recorded and will be available for later viewing on our YouTube channel. This evening's conversation is presented by Ocean Farm Supply with co-founder Aaron Adams. In this speaker series, Aaron will discuss how Ocean Farm Supply is dedicated to sustainable, regenerative forestry practices and carbon neutral production processes, helping shellfish distributors reduce the need for single-use plastic measurements. For those who aren't familiar with Ocean Farm Supply is a Brunswick Maine-based value-added manufacturer of the Ocean Harvest Bag, a bag woven from biodegradable, compostable fiber designed explicitly for the harvest and distribution of shellfish and fish. And without further ado, I'll let Aaron take it from here.
Thanks, Sabrina. Thank you all so much for being here. It's pretty cool. I've spent a number of evenings kind of on the other side of this desk as part of the first cohort of the Distributors Labs. So for anyone who is here or listening about, I just can't recommend it more highly. I wish it was longer. I want to do it again. If you have space, that'd be really great. so it's great to be here. So thank you so much. So yeah, so my name is Aaron Adams, Ocean Farm Supply. I'm one of the co-founders and acting as CEO. So our mission statement is that we are the new industry standard in plastic-free shellfish packaging. And what I want to do today is really tell you about how we ended up with that mission statement, kind of tell you our origin story. It's really kind of something that many businesses have where they're recognizing a problem and then finding a solution and recognizing an opportunity in that problem. So with this, kind of just spend a lot of time, a good amount of time talking about who we are, our story, where we're coming from, and why we're approaching plastic and plastic-free packaging in the way that we are, where we are now and where we're going. So to start, this is our team. So these are my co-founders, Eric Oransky and Willie Leathers. And I put some captions here of different roles that we hold current. I think it's a very main thing that we all have many hats that we wear. Ours is that we've had this thread woven through our lives that have tied us to the ocean. So all of us have our captain's license and have been working on the water for our careers. Eric is a fine woodworker as well. Willie is shipwright, so he works with rebuilding historic vessels such as the Ernestina or Harvey Gamage. So with the idea, most of these are vessels that bring students on board and kind of connecting folks with the ocean. So I wanted to kind of step back and thinking about like when I was our team and how we all met. It was really, I have a lot to thank to these two vessels here in this organization. This is really, it may seem tangential, but it's actually part of the foundation of Ocean Farm Supply and why we are a business and where we're coming from. So for those of you who are maybe not familiar, so this is a Sea Education Association is a study abroad program based in Woods Hole, Massachusetts. So where students, they spend 6 weeks on shore in Woods Hole where they do classes and they develop a research project and basically learn navigation, and it's all prepping them to join one of these two ships, the Horace Kramer or the Robert C. Siemens, for a 6-week voyage somewhere in the world. So the Kramer's in the Atlantic and the Siemens is in the Pacific. SSV stands for Sailing School Vessel. So with the maritime careers that we've all had, Eric, Willie, and I, this is where we actually all met. So I remember meeting Willie on the Horace Kramer. It was the day after Christmas in 2014, and I had just flown down, and they had just made the crossing from Mallorca, and this was in St. Croix, And so, if anyone who's met Willie, or we will meet him in the future, he's just the most gregarious and smiley and friendly person. So that was a great way to kind of be welcomed to my very first day working with this company. With Eric, I met him aboard. We actually stood watch together on the Siemens, or sailing around in New Zealand. And what that means is that there's a scientist. My role on board was as a scientist. That's my background, working in fisheries science. And so he and I would basically be in charge of a watch. And so teaching the students how to sail and how to do science, and how basically over 6 weeks to really make our jobs obsolete as much as we could, so that the students could kind of have that ownership. And the reason I wanted to kind of go back and start with these two platforms is because of their significance in how we've decided to build our business. So there's this saying in the ship-based world that we would use SEA, it's shipmate self. And this leads to two core values of our company. But to describe this more, and I'm going to use it very literally, as in like we're on a ship, but you could please have you have creative license to use it and apply this however you like, whether it's your own life or the earth or what have you, your business. So ship, basically what this means is levels of priority. So you take care of the ship. That's utmost importance, because that's really, you're in the middle of the ocean. As humans, we can't survive without some sort of vessel. So you really, anything that's top priority, anything that needs to happen for the ship, you have to take care of it. That's utmost importance. Second, you have your shipmates. So those are all the people around you, whether it's literally your people you're on the boat with, or people you're working with, or people your family or friends or whoever. You want to take care of those people, because that is your community. If you don't do something, that means someone else in your community has to do it. The example we can use is like you're walking down the deck and you see something on the ground. If you don't pick it up, that means just that your shipmate wants to pick it up. So you just want to take care of all of those around you to kind of always leave the place a little bit better for the next person coming around. And then the idea there then is third priority in this context is self, because the idea is that if everyone else is taking care of you, you're taking care of them. There's really not, it's a lot easier to take care of yourself when there's other people looking out for you. So there's that really sense of community. That really led us, so that is kind of the tenet that we draw on for this drive to leave things better than we found them, that we're taking care of our other shipmates or just basically any situation, trying to find a solution if one needs to be found. Communication is also huge with us from the boat life. Basically, there's nothing too small. When you're on a boat, you have a lookout. You're always out there kind of because you're want to take care of your ship. So if you're in the middle of the night and you want someone else out there who has eyes out for different lights or ships or, anything in the water. And then it's their responsibility, even if they think that you saw it, to come back and talk to you. And that requires a loosening of ego and kind of that mentality of like, oh, I know this already, but it's like, no, it's okay. Like even anything that needs to be said, we have open communication to allow that and give and receive it with grace and generosity and respect of where that statement or whatever it is comes from. So those are really the two core values that I think are the strength as we grow our business. So kind of to, get away from the philosophy here a little bit more and kind of move towards action and to how we actually got where we are. Eventually, when you spend enough time at sea, you kind of get drawn to land. And then when you're on land, you're drawn to sea. So there's this balance that you're trying to figure out. And so that's actually the origin story of how Ocean Farm Supply came to be, was trying to figure out this balance. How can we work on the water, but then also have a land life and have partners and families and houses and stuff like that. So these three guys, so Tom Kledinsky, Willie, and Eric, you might recognize from the other photo. this is where it all started. And this is, they started an oyster farm out of South Freeport. And this was in 2017 or so. They're kind of, I remember them telling me the story that they were on the boat, the Siemens, I think at the time, and they're like trying to figure out like this dilemma of how do we find that balance of being on the boat and also being on land. And so they were actually going to start with kelp and start growing kelp. That was kind of Willie's idea there. But then they did some more research and recognized that oysters were a more economically capable product at that time. And so they started growing oysters. And in addition to being more economic, there are a number of different benefits of shellfish that kind of tie into this whole kind of tapestry of how we came to be with Ocean Farm Supply. So not only, there's you can make a viable living off of growing oysters in Maine here, but there's a huge environmental benefit. A single oyster can filter up to 50 gallons of water per day and improves the water quality, which often gets overloaded with nutrients. We'll see this maybe tomorrow. We have a lot of rain coming tomorrow, so we'll get a lot of nutrients in the water. It also promotes seagrass growth, so that provides habitat for other fish and shellfish larvae. Seafood, as we know, so farmed oysters, clams, and mussels are hugely economically beneficial to the country. They stand for 2/3 of the total U.S. marine aquaculture and are just delicious and a great source of protein and vitamins and minerals. So as the guys were starting to grow their oysters and starting to harvest, they had all of these benefits in their mind. The problem that they started to face was that when they're taking this really environmentally beneficial oyster and putting it into a plastic bag. These are just apples. This is just a stock photo there, but it's nothing wrong with apples. It's just the plastic bag. So this bag here is conventionally used on all farms, and you see it in the grocery store as well. And to kind of think of the context of the waste that's generated, so the world produces 353 million tons of plastic, and this number is from 2019. And just to clarify, nearly 2/3 of that plastic waste comes from plastics with lifetimes under 5 years. The disconnect that Tom, Eric, and Willie were seeing was that, so our oysters, we deliver within the Portland area. So these plastic bags were actually only in use for a number of hours. So they were just seeing how much plastic generation that they were creating, and it just didn't really make sense for them. To kind of paint even kind of a larger picture here of our the waste that's generated. So this is from the EPA, and this shows the trends from 1960 to 2008, the total plastic containers and packaging by weight, the waste there. And you can see 120,000 tons in 1960, and then 2018 was 14.5 million tons. So quite a stark difference there and ramp up in our packaging use. So most of that is landfilled. There's been some other recycling and incineration aspects, but still majority of all of our packaging just goes into a landfill. So knowing all this and kind of learning, all right, the current market for the oyster industry, that single-use plastic mesh bags were utilized. Through research, saw that a bioplastic mesh is available, but it's too weak, and it was only industrial compostable. So kind of going back to our core values, we wanted to do better and ask for more. And we want, now knowing kind of the scope of the issue, we want to disrupt single-use plastic in aquaculture. As a side note, we grow all of our oysters in plastic. So plastic has been hugely beneficial for our farm, and it's something that it's durable, it's cheap, it's safe. We've been able to reuse our bags for grow out bags. They last for years. So plastic is definitely something that's a very useful tool. But we were like, where can we make a change? And that's really disrupting that single-use plastic. So kind of look at the timeline. So 2017 started growing oysters. recognized this problem with excessive plastic waste in 2018, and then conducted some research starting then and then 2019 to find a packaging alternative. So it was surprising. So while we found that bioplastic, we didn't really found anything that suited our needs, except we did find this fiber and material produced by a manufacturer in Austria called Pack Natur. So their target market is the produce industry. And so they have this netting that they started manufacturing. It's actually the timing's pretty similar in Kismet in they only started producing this in 2016. So it's a fairly new product for them as well. So we reached out to them seeing if perhaps this mesh produce would suit our needs, but we found that it was too weak. You know, oysters have sharp shells, so basically needed something a little bit more robust. But through them, actually through Pack Natur, we're actually able to develop a specific bag for shellfish harvest and distribution. So that was strong enough to meet the needs of what we were looking for with that strength and the durability, but also still the compostability. To kind of tell you a little bit more about what this product is and why it kind of suited what we were looking for. So this mesh is 100% home compostable, it's biodegradable, it's made out of cellulose, and it's just better from the start from manufacture. It's 64% less water, 90% fewer chemicals, and 62% less energy as compared to plastic production. This is a key for us, is that the full life cycle of this product has been considered. So it's grown sustainably. It's European beechwood, which is akin to the pine forests here in Maine. It's in terms of being their primary forests, grown in sustainable and grown sustainably in controlled and certified beechwood forests in Austria and surrounding countries there. The value add is then manufactured in Austria, and then we're shipped over directly. We're able to receive it directly in Portland. This product has third-party certifications in Europe is OK Home Compost. We don't really have a similar kind of certification here in the States. The closest that we have is the biodegradable product index, which this product is also certified through. So you see here just kind of the timeline of breaking down from 1 week, and this is in just your home compost, your backyard compost, to being fully reintegrated into the soil in 8 to 12 weeks. Through our relationship with Pack Natur, the key for our business model is that Ocean Farm Supply has the sole distribution rights to sell the trademark Ocean Harvest bag in the United States and Canada. And that's really been a tenet of our business plan, with having this ability to have these distribution rights and utilize this product and build the market, for this product. So kind of set the tone here and set the market. In 2019, over 88 million pounds of shellfish were sold in the US, with an estimated 1,400 miles of plastic mesh waste. So if we do the math here, if every shellfish was put into an Ocean Harvest bag once, it equates to about 15,000 Ocean Harvest bag sleeves at a value of $2 million. So if we just took half of this current market share, this would equate to over $1 million in annual sales. The recurring revenue model, this product has a recurring revenue model, as it is a single-use product. It's meant to disrupt that single-use plastic mesh. With shellfish distribution, there's food safety involved there, where you can only really use this product once. So the fact that you can just throw it in your compost is even more important than relying on plastic. And there's multiple tiers where the Ocean Harvest bag can be used. So we're harvesters. We put our oysters in this bag and we deliver it to our restaurants. But our restaurants, some of them are dealers. So they might break open that bag, put it into a smaller bag, and then ship it somewhere. Or they might break it open our bag, put it in another bag, and sell it to someone over the counter, if you're going to order a couple dozen oysters at your local seafood counter. So there's an opportunity where a single oyster or a single clam or mussel is being packaged multiple times. We have an e-commerce platform primarily at oceanfarmsupply.com, where folks have the option to buy a sleeve, which is 150 meters of material, and then they can cut it to length as they need. And then also we offer a bale, which is 8 sleeves. So we do also offer free samples for folks, because we want it to be a solution. We don't want it just people to buy it to buy it and not be satisfied. So we understand that that's a key part of any successful business, is having customers that this works for. And so we talk in the feedback channels. It's kind of like a feedback loop, right? Everything we put out there, we want feedback from. However the cards fall, or the chips, whatever that metaphor is. What is that? I'm not sure. However the
cards go.
yeah, exactly. How the chips fall. I don't know, something like that. Yeah, however it goes. So the overall potential here in the US is that there's over 2,500 shellfish businesses in the United States. We've sold over 40 at this point in all regions, including Alaska and surprisingly even Midwest. So we have some distributors in Wisconsin and Minnesota that are utilizing the Ocean Harvest bag, which was surprising, but a really nice surprise. And Maine is over 250 shellfish businesses and growing, and we have accounts with 23 currently, with 15 ordering regularly. So our target market really are shellfish growers and retail seafood counters. So where we are currently, we're in conversation with top mussel producers. Actually, this morning I just dropped off some samples with them. They were looking at kind of different pre-cut lengths. So wanting to see how things will work with their production. And also 4 major grocery store seafood counters. So we're recognizing, as going through this, it's been really interesting learning more about where people are and how we have to meet them where they are. One thing that I'll talk about with the grocery stores is that if you think about it, when you go into the grocery store, all of your produce, and this extends to the seafood counter as well, is in plastic mesh packaging. That's all packaged using specific machinery that are heat sealed. And so it's not easy. While our mesh could serve in the same way, the machinery is different. So that actually means, okay, there's going to be a huge change in machinery. So that's something that we recognize. All right, this is going to be a little slower. We're going to have to figure out ways to talk with these grocery stores and see, like, what products could we start with whether it be mussels, or we also have opportunity to facilitate use of the produce mesh from pack mature in different grocery stores as well. So no US market has adopted this material yet, but it's been established market in France and New Zealand and a number of their large chains there. So in Europe, they tend to have more of those clipping machines. So that's something that we're seeing, just a difference there, just in the distribution. So that's a hurdle for sure, but it's not insurmountable by any means. The key here, I think, when talking to these larger companies, is that everyone has a sustainability goal, or they should anyway, with these companies in terms of what they are producing or how they're packaging or what they're looking for. And so this material, the Ocean Harvest bag, and then as we can move into the produce mesh side of things, can drastically help them. So it's a cool feeling to be in this position, and trying to work with different businesses to meet them where they want to go, to help them where they want to go. And then this is just kind of falls into the same, what I was mentioning there before, those 2 major grocery store retailers, just trying to figure out, like, how can we actually make this work? Where do we start with some pilot programs? This is something where hopefully we are in conversation of starting in the new year, as things, they go. And it's also recognizing we need to have some patience with how other people move. Like, I want things to happen in a different timeline than they actually are going to happen. So have to have patience there. just to give an overview here of kind of where we are and what we're looking for. So we did just actually secure a warehouse in Brunswick at Tech Place. So that's huge. It's the best way I can describe it is it's like a co-working space like Deergo Labs, but there's warehouses. So it helps facilitate with any machinery that you need to bring in or storage. And they have a number of different like machine shops and wood shops and stuff like that. So that's been perfect for us so far to help us, first of all, take everything out of our houses and put it into a central location. And then also have the opportunity to bring in some more machinery so that we can offer more products to our customers, build our customer base, and just kind of create some more room for things to develop. So as we launched in 2021, so we saw in 2021, we saw a 10% growth over month there, where we started with 3 customers in 2020 and now have 23 in Maine and 46 countrywide. In 2022, an interesting thing that we've seen, definitely recognize more seasonality with folks not purchasing our material, especially here in Maine, with the majority of our accounts being in Maine. Most of the aquaculture industry, they're harvesting between June and October. So that seasonality that we're seeing here, and so having to look more broadly for other markets and all over the country to see that have longer or year-round growing seasons. So we are our revenue, it has increased this year, which is great, and some solid. And with the leads I was mentioning before, we do have some projections of close to $400,000 in 2024. So how we're going to get there is really working with those different grocery stores and working with those value add machines and trying to really just be able to compare what machines do we need to bring in, how do we actually get these to retrofit, or what do we need to do to meet people where they are. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, it's been well received for sure. It's been, I think, benefiting from the Maine community, and also, I have a slide here about it, but just the support of all of different organizations in Maine for small businesses. I think that it's been just a positive progress along. It's having, again, the patience thing where every day kind of has to go, just making small steps forward, and it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back, but learning every day for sure. Things that I'm actively thinking about right now are kind of making it as easy as possible to switch to our product. And that even goes from, we were cutting up some 3-gallon buckets to make these tabletop fillings buckets for other shellfish growers because our material is a little more flimsy in terms of it doesn't have that structure that a plastic bag does. So it's like, okay, so this is the way that folks are using it, or it's going to be a little bit different than how they were using the plastic before. We really want to develop some marketing materials to help folks communicate to their customers what this product is, to transfer that value add to our customers, and have them benefit as well from the fact that they are making this decision to use a sustainable, compostable, biodegradable product, and that their customers should know that. And it should be part of their customers' buying practice to be like, okay, cool, I want to recognize their choices in their packaging. And the biggest one for us right now is pre-cut lengths. And what that means is that, so we sell our unit in 150 meter sleeve, and then can kind of cut as needed. And it works really well for small operations, such as ours, where we can tie knots. And we're harvesting maybe 3,000 oysters a week. So we can basically tie knots on either end of the bag, and that's fine. And it works really well for really large organizations that have machinery that you can just put this sleeve onto a machine and they'll pre-cut, fill, clip, and move it along on the production line. But then there's a huge majority I've learned are in that middle ground, where they're producing enough, where having tying knots isn't efficient, and they're not there yet to have machinery for their production lines. So again, meeting people where they are, like, okay, we receive a lot of feedback that they want pre-made bags, which just means that there's a clip on the end of the sleeve, so that the length, and they can close it as they need, as they can. And this is kind of, I was thinking about, I just wanted to put this slide up here because it goes into your comment about how we've really been supported and bolstered through everyone on this list. And I'm sure I'm forgetting people, but just through the different opportunities and the incubators that are out there between, from Dirigo Labs to Greenlight Maine to Launchpad to I have some space and some support at the New England Ocean Cluster based out in Portland. Learning more. I've been talking with MITC, the Maine International Trade Center, this past couple of weeks, because trying to think about, like, how do we get, how selling to Canada work? Like, what do I have to do there? So that's been huge. So Maine has been just an incredible place for us to build this business. And this is home for all of us. So we want to make sure that we stay here and kind of add to the economy as well. And that's really all. So thank you all very much.
Good to see you again.
Yeah.
Kind of a broad kind of branding question. Of course, branding is important for all businesses. You have such an incredible brand identity that it's kind of inexorably linked to a very strong Maine brand identity and seafood, which is, I think, worldwide, and it's like clean and pristine. That's all well and good. What does that actually mean for you? And is it practical and operational when you go into a supermarket and like really need to communicate that or try to expand markets into emerging markets or to Canada? How much does that actually jump off the slide deck and into a meeting? What kind of suction are you getting there with Maine's brand identity, maybe outside of it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, I think it is incredibly beneficial. The main brand, for sure. I think there is a lot, especially when talking about the aquaculture world. I bias maybe, but I actually think we have the best shellfish in the country. And so having the leaders of our industry here in Maine utilize this product is significant, I think, for other folks, those influencers, those just the word of mouth. So it's been really important for us to work with our partners here. In terms of how the brand is aiding in kind of those decisions in other markets, it's a great question. I think with Maine in so many ways, not just in aquaculture, but I'm also thinking about how we're the leaders in packaging reform with our extended producer the Responsibility Act that's coming into play. We're the first state in the country to put that forward. I can't help but think that it all plays a part of it. Maine is a state that of folks who, when there's a problem, people kind of you just figure out how to fix it or work through it, or we're going to help and work with each other. I think that's then a huge asset, but I don't have a tangible answer there.
Well, it seems like sometimes one of those where just thinking about that supermarket or Whole Foods, it's very much they're very green, very pristine, but it's a lot It's still hard to get in.
Yeah, there's a couple in different, or the larger purchasers I've been talking to, there is one in particular, I'm not gonna say their name, but they are the family first kind of, so they've been really receptive. And so they have a lot of similar values, like, you know, we didn't talk maybe 3 different meetings and didn't talk about price until the very end kind of thing. Because they wanted to make sure that our values, you know, their values and going forward, so. Yeah, hi.
Congrats on the success.
Oh, thanks.
Are there any like unique quirks, like navigating a community where you're exclusively in the aquaculture space compared to like the later startup kind of community, since you kind of start on both?
Like unique quirks and sort of differences there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, with. I mean, I guess
And I think
feedback,
too.
I could ask for feedback as well, because I feel like it's one of those things that you have to be careful of, right? Because it's such a specific product for a specific, the way that we targeted and with our initial product. That I do when I say, oh, we sell a home compostable shellfish harvest bag, that often doesn't quite land right away. So there is often it's just taking that time and learning and kind of seeing like, okay, so who am I talking to at this time? What group? And then just choose my words differently. I think that's been a huge benefit of actually being a part of all of these different accelerators and cohorts and having that difference. So it's not just the aquaculture industry that we're talking to. We're talking to folks who maybe have never been on the water, maybe like live in a landlocked state. So having those kind of opportunities to tailor the conversation has been really, really great. Stuff now.
I just plug Aaron and just say, I think being a farmer or an aquaculture farming is like, and I think we appreciate this in Maine, but there's an inherent risk in being like a farmer that is seen to dovetail into entrepreneurship very well. Inherently, sometimes lonely and hard work and all these skills that we talk about are important to innovation and entrepreneurship. Well, there's a great industry right there. So it's
Did you say that you have rights to distribution of bags for aquaculture, but then there's other, or all distribution in the United States is aquaculture, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's for this product, the Ocean Harvest bag, we have sole distribution rights. So with targeting the aquaculture industry, yeah, for that.
So are there other people bringing forward the same bag for fruits and vegetables and
No, not this particular one. No, so
donuts? And, you know,
yeah, so it's there's a good opportunity there for sure.
distribution rights in Canada.
And my thoughts, so thank you, this is great. What's, I'm curious, there's a lot of market opportunity here, there's a lot of outside of you, we're talking about national markets. Sorry, I'll speak up. We're talking about national markets and then getting the grocery retail chains or a group, like it's a huge market. What's the biggest challenge of the group that you got, that market and capital? Is it messaging, right? You got a timeline to get to somewhere in 2023. What's your biggest bottleneck, or maybe there's several, I don't know, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about how you want to look at those problems.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think, so you're right, there are a number of different things that we have to consider as we expand and kind of in this inflection point of putting a lot of energy into hopefully make it grow even faster. So marketing for sure is something that comes to mind with just getting our product out there. I think with and building that those different knowledge bases in the different in the country there. And I think one of the things that I spent a lot of time thinking about is, I mentioned it during this talk as well, about how do we make it as easy as possible for folks? I think there's that implementation of we have this product. How does it meet your needs exactly as you want? Like basically have it be presented to you in a way that you've already thought about all of the problems that you might have with this product. And this is, they don't have those problems anymore. So I think that there's behavior change in there where it's just a slightly different handle than plastic and it creates different machinery. So I think, and it's changed and it's, it is more expensive. I didn't touch upon that, but it's about 20% more expensive. So it's a part that I am wondering, okay, so what's the first, where can we get the most progress first with the next steps we take with bringing in, and then that goes into capital. It's like, okay, so we bring in capital, we invest in some machinery to then meet some folks where they are, what kind of machinery, where do we need to go with that. So those are kind of the thoughts that I have a lot about, like, all right, so we are taking the first steps and huge first steps with this product, but then there's some guidance that we have to offer to make it as easy to use for our customers as possible.
What kind of considerations have you had to make, given you're dealing with a live product, and mostly a live product, especially if it's getting further away from the source? So, just not even fairly compared to a lobster industry, it's a ship flying lobster around and time against you, keep it cool, package it. Have you had to do pathogen risk assessment? What kind of considerations given how fragile, how alive these products can actually be?
Yeah, no, we haven't do any of the risk assessment there. So it is food safe. And that's kind of our experience there. It's just been pretty plug and play there.
How would you box this or get it over to Europe? Just what does that look like in terms of the logistics there?
Of it shipping.
Shipping here, the actual product, or if you're partnering and sending live product out in the bag, what would that look like for you guys?
Yeah, so with this, the mesh, it would have to be depending on, basically, you would need another, cardboard box.
Yep.
But this material, so you could put your shellfish, you could just say oysters in the ocean harvest bag, do some gel packs, and then you can ship it just as you would any other seafood product there. So.
Sorry to talk a lot here, but I also like to ask, if you're comfortable, what kind of raise are you up to, or looking for in terms of funding, or doing any funding raise right now?
Yeah. So right now we are going through the process with NTI for a matching grant. And then are in conversations with a couple different investors, low-key investors, but we're not in a place where we're really wanting to do what we can. We feel like there's if we can get this money for the machinery, which is maybe what, 50,000, 100,000, and then we can hopefully continue then just to raise using our revenue. So we're going to try not to kind of extend too much of a raise there and just try to get where we need to go so that we can kind of get over that hump and then just be revenue generating and kind of self-sustaining there.
I missed some of the presentation, so you might have covered it, but I was kind of curious, you said, you had a question about bottlenecks, and we kind of went into marketing, and then also a big focus on getting some of the operations moving.
Yeah.
Again, you might have touched upon it, but I'm assuming you kind of have maybe a team with you as well. What does that team look like? Are they, I'm assuming some of them have to be together, managing their equipment, probably down to ground floor, being really hands-on. I guess I'm just very curious about kind of what that team looks like for you now,
Yeah.
or where you're at for that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So right now, it's really small. It's just myself and Eric and Willie, who are the owners. And so we're all co-founders. So day-to-day operation, I am in charge of that. And so that's anything from right now, because we're shipping in our product from Austria. It's we are distributing and boxing any orders that come in from our warehouse space in Brunswick. And so that's something that I've been, I take the lead on there, and as well as marketing. When you're right, though, as we grow, that is one of the first, when we're thinking about creating jobs and that economic growth there, having a marketing expert is one that in the sales and marketing person is something that's first and foremost on my list, but also, yeah, operations. Having someone who is there running machinery, depending on what needs to be happening, and managing that space. So yet to be built, but yeah. Yeah, no, it's a great question.
All right. Well, thank you, Erin, for the presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very happy to have you here with us and back with us. We hope that we'd love for you to stay in Waterville for everything. And next time brings the same.
I know, yeah, I know.
I'd just like to say thank you to our sponsors for this event. This conversation was sponsored by CGI, the Harold Alphon Institute for Business Innovation, Valley Beverage, and Bristol Innovation Space. If you'd like to learn more about these conversations, you can find them on our website at centralmaine.org or DuralLabs.org. And we'd love to see you at our next conversation on Thursday, November 10th from 5 to 6 p.m. So with that, have a wonderful night.
Thank you.